Good morning, my dear friends. This is Dr. William Chen. If you have been standing in front of the mirror, plucking the same stubborn chin hairs again and again, thinking this is just what happens after 60, I want you to stop for a moment and listen very carefully. Not because plucking is dangerous, not because you have done anything wrong, and not because those hairs define your beauty or your worth. I want you to stop because sometimes that little ritual in the mirror becomes a distraction from the deeper message your body is trying to send you. For many women after 60, new chin hair is not just a cosmetic annoyance. It can be a signal that the internal balance between estrogen, androgens, insulin, inflammation, and follicle sensitivity has shifted. And once that shift begins, many women notice something else at the same time. More chin hair, more upper lip hair, less fullness on the scalp, more belly weight, more fatigue, more frustration, and worst of all, the quiet feeling that your body is changing in ways no one properly explained to you. That is what we are talking about today. Because if you understand the pattern, you stop feeling helpless. And if you stop feeling helpless, you stop treating this like a random cosmetic problem and start treating it like what it really is, a message from your biology. Now let me tell me something important. Right at the beginning, I am not here to promise a miracle. I am not going to tell you that one cup of tea or one spoonful of seeds will magically erase years of hormonal change. That would be nonsense. And at this stage of life, you do not need fantasy. You need honesty, you need clarity, and you need practical strategies that actually make sense. What I am going to share with you today are 3 foods that may help support hormone balance naturally, especially in women over 60 who are noticing unwanted facial hair as part of the menopause or postmenopausal transition. These are not drugs. They are not overnight cures. But they are foods with properties that may support the systems involved in hormone metabolism, androgen activity, blood sugar regulation, and healthy aging. And when you use the right foods consistently, you are no longer fighting your body. You are working with it. I am Dr. William Chen, and on this channel, my goal is simple: to help you understand your body in a way that is meaningful, science-aware, practical, and respectful of the fact that healthy aging is not about panic. It is about knowledge. It is about daily choices. And it is about refusing to believe that feeling dismissed is the same thing as getting older. Now, before we get into the list, I want to give you the bigger picture. A lot of women are told that facial hair after menopause is normal, and technically, yes, it is common. But common and unimportant are not the same thing. As estrogen levels fall during and after menopause, the balance shifts. Even if testosterone is not dramatically high, the relative effect of androgens can become more noticeable. In some women, hair follicles around the chin and upper lip become more sensitive to that change. That is why you may suddenly notice coarse, dark hairs in places where you never had them before. Meanwhile, the follicles on the scalp may become less resilient, so you get the cruel combination many women hate most: more hair where you do not want it, and less hair where you do. And there is another layer. Blood sugar swings, excess body fat, chronic stress, poor sleep, and inflammation can all make hormone balance more difficult. So the chin hair is often not a completely isolated issue. It can be connected to the broader metabolic story of aging. That matters. Because when you understand that this is about systems, not just surface appearance, you stop looking for quick cosmetic fixes alone and start supporting the internal environment. That is exactly why today's 3 foods matter. I am counting down from number 3 to number 1. Each one supports the body in a different way. One helps calm androgen activity. One supports a healthier hormonal environment after menopause. And one is especially powerful because it supports estrogen metabolism, gut health, and metabolic stability at the same time. And number 1, in my opinion, is the food too many women overlook, even though it may be one of the simplest daily tools for this stage of life. Before we begin, tell me in the comments how old you are and whether you have noticed chin hair, upper lip hair, or scalp thinning becoming more obvious after 60. I read those comments very carefully, and they help make me content that speaks to real life, not just textbook theory. Now let's begin. Number 3 is spearmint tea. And I know what some of you are already thinking. Tea? Really? Yes, really. Not because tea is magical, not because herbs replace medical care, but because spearmint has been studied for its possible anti-androgen effects, especially in women dealing with hormone-related hair changes. In small human studies, spearmint tea has been associated with reductions in free testosterone levels. That doesn't mean it is a cure for hirsutism. It doesn't mean it will transform your face in a week. But it does mean it belongs in the conversation. Why does that matter after 60? Because for many women in this phase of life, the issue is not simply that hormones exist. The issue is that the balance has changed, and the follicles may respond differently than they used to. Spearmint appears to have compounds that may help create a less androgen-friendly environment. In plain language, it may help reduce some of the hormonal signaling that contributes to unwanted facial hair. Now, I want to be precise here. We are not talking about peppermint candy. We are not talking about mint syrup in a coffee shop drink. We are talking about real spearmint tea made from quality leaves, brewed consistently. This is one of the biggest mistakes people make with natural strategies. They hear about a food once, try it in the weakest or most casual way possible, do it for 4 days, and then conclude that nothing works. That is not how physiology works. The body responds to patterns. If you want support from spearmint tea, think in terms of routine, not random effort. A reasonable starting point is 1 to 2 cups a day, ideally without sugar. If you enjoy it in the morning and again in the afternoon, that is often the easiest habit to maintain. You do not need to drown it in honey. You do not need to turn it into dessert. In fact, if your goal is hormone and metabolic support, the less added sugar, the better. And here is where spearmint becomes even more meaningful. For many women over 60, the daily battle is not only physical, it is emotional. You wake up, go to the mirror, notice the chin, notice the jawline, notice the texture of your skin changing, notice the hair you did not ask for, and before breakfast, your confidence already takes a hit. That is why a simple daily ritual matters. Not because tea alone solves everything, but because it turns helplessness into participation. You are no longer just reacting, you are supporting. And if you pair that tea habit with better sleep, lower sugar intake, more walking, and better stress regulation, now you are creating a hormonal environment that is much more favorable than the one most people are living in by default. That is what I want you to understand throughout this entire video. No single food is the hero. The pattern is the hero. Now let's make this practical. If you choose spearmint tea, drink it consistently for several weeks before you judge it. Don't expect drama, expect subtlety. You may notice that the speed of regrowth feels different. You may notice less frustration. You may notice that when you combine it with the other foods I will mention today, your body begins to feel more stable overall. And that stability matters, because the follicle is responding to the environment you create day after day. That is number 3. Now let's move to number 2. Number 2 is soy foods. And before anyone panics because they have heard contradictory things online, let me slow this down. I am not telling you to live on ultra-processed fake food. I am not telling you to take huge mystery supplements from the internet. I am talking about traditional, minimally processed soy foods such as tofu, tempeh, edamame, and unsweetened soy milk. These foods contain isoflavones, plant compounds that can act as phytoestrogens. That word scares some people because they hear estrogen and assume danger. But phytoestrogens do not act like a pharmaceutical dose of estrogen. They are very gentle. In the postmenopausal body, where estrogen levels have declined, foods containing isoflavones may help support a more balanced hormonal environment. That does not mean they force your hormones to do something unnatural. It means they may interact with the body in a way that helps soften the imbalance many women feel after menopause. And that imbalance is exactly what often lies behind the problem of chin hair after 60. When estrogen drops, the relative effect of androgens can become more visible. That is one reason facial hair may start showing up more than it did before. A food that gently supports the postmenopausal hormonal environment is not trivial. It can be part of a bigger strategy. But IM helps in another way too. Many women over 60 are not just dealing with facial hair. They are also dealing with loss of muscle, poor satiety, rising cholesterol, more abdominal weight, and greater blood sugar instability. Soy foods can help address several of these issues at once, because they provide protein, and in some forms, fiber and minerals as well. Why do I care so much about that? Because better blood sugar control matters for hormone balance. Better body composition matters for hormone balance. Better satiety matters for hormone balance. The more insulin-resistant the body becomes, the harder it is to maintain a stable internal environment. And when the internal environment becomes unstable, the symptoms often show up in ways that feel cosmetic but are actually metabolic. So if you are only plucking and not nourishing, you may be managing the visible result while ignoring the deeper pattern. That is not your fault. Most people were never taught to think this way. Now, the best way to use soy foods is as a regular part of meals, not as a last-minute add-on to make yourself feel virtuous. If you eat tofu, use enough to matter. Put it in a proper meal with vegetables, healthy fat, and fiber. If you eat edamame, make it part of lunch, not a few lonely beans on the side. If you use unsweetened soy milk, choose one without a long list of unnecessary additives, and make it part of a breakfast that actually stabilizes your energy. And let me tell me something else very clearly. You do not need to be extreme. This is where people sabotage themselves. They hear that something may help, and then they either do far too little or become obsessively rigid. Neither approach works well long term. What works is calm, consistent repetition. A few servings of traditional soy foods across the week can be far more useful than one dramatic health kick that disappears in 10 days. And there is something psychologically important here too. When a woman starts seeing chin hair after 60, it can make her feel as if femininity is slipping away from her in small, humiliating ways. She may not even say it out loud, but she feels it. She feels that the mirror is no longer neutral. She feels that aging has become visible in a way she did not consent to. And when you start using foods that support your body instead of fighting it, something changes. Not just physically, mentally. You feel less betrayed by your own biology. That matters more than people realize. Now, before I give you number one, let me pause for a second and ask you for something simple. If this video is helping you, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I make these videos for people who are tired of vague advice, tired of scare tactics, and tired of being told that every change after 60 is either meaningless or hopeless. It is neither. There is almost always a smarter way to understand what the body is doing. And if you have not commented yet, comment with your age and tell me how long you have been dealing with this. Your experience matters. Now let's go to number one. Number one is ground flaxseed. And if there is one food on this list that I would want more women over 60 to understand deeply, it is this one. Not whole flaxseed. Ground flaxseed. That difference matters. Whole flax seeds often pass through the digestive system without being fully broken down. Ground flaxseed is the form that makes the beneficial compounds much more available. Why is flaxseed so important here? Because it works on several levels at once. First, flaxseed is rich in lignans, plant compounds that may help support estrogen metabolism. In the postmenopausal years, when estrogen has declined, the way the body processes and balances hormones becomes especially important. You do not need a false promise. You need better regulation. Flaxseed can support that conversation inside the body. Second, flaxseed contains fiber, and fiber is one of the most underrated tools in all of hormone health. Why? Because hormones do not live in isolation from the gut. The digestive system helps process and eliminate what the body no longer needs. If your gut function is sluggish, if your blood sugar is all over the place, if your meals are low in fiber and high in processed food, you are not creating a favorable environment for hormonal stability. Flaxseed helps here. It supports regularity. It supports satiety. It supports metabolic stability. And all of that matters for women who are trying to reduce the internal chaos that often shows up on the surface as unwanted facial hair, stubborn weight gain, low energy, and inflammation. Third, flaxseed also provides plant omega-3s, which may help support a healthy inflammatory balance. Again, not magic, support. And support is the right word for this stage of life. Now here is what I love most about flaxseed. It is simple, it is affordable, it is easy to use, and it fits into real life. 1 to 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed a day is a practical place to begin. Stir it into oatmeal. Blend it into a smoothie. Mix it into plain yogurt. Add it to a bowl of unsweetened soy yogurt if that works for you. Sprinkle it over a protein-rich breakfast. What matters most is not culinary brilliance. What matters is that you do it often enough for your body to feel the pattern. And please store it properly. Because flax contains delicate oils, it is better kept in a cool place, and many people keep it refrigerated after opening. Now let me explain why this food earns the #1 spot for this topic. Women over 60 often try to solve every health issue as if it exists in a separate box. 1 box for hair, 1 box for sleep, 1 box for weight, 1 box for energy, 1 box for digestion. But the body is not built in boxes. The same unstable internal environment that contributes to chin hair may also contribute to weight changes, low satiety, blood sugar problems, constipation, poor inflammation control, and feeling generally off. Flaxseed is powerful because it supports multiple systems at the same time. And when multiple systems improve together, symptoms often begin to feel less intense. That is the difference between cosmetic management and systemic support. Cosmetic management says, "How do I remove this hair today?" Systemic support asks, "What kind of internal environment am I creating every single day?" That question changes everything. And I want to add one more important truth. If your facial hair appeared very suddenly, became severe quickly, or comes with other changes such as deepening voice, rapid scalp hair loss, acne, or other unusual symptoms, please do not assume this is just normal aging. Get checked. Rapid or significant changes deserve medical attention. Sometimes there are underlying hormone conditions that need a proper evaluation. That is not fear. That is wisdom. Natural strategies are strongest when they are combined with intelligent medical awareness. Now let's pull the whole picture together. If you are over 60 and dealing with chin hair, do not reduce yourself to a pair of tweezers and a bad mood. This is bigger than that. Your body may be responding to the hormonal shift of menopause and postmenopause. It may be responding to relative androgen activity. It may be responding to blood sugar instability, inflammation, excess body fat, stress, poor sleep, or some combination of all of them. That is why the answer is not one miracle product. The answer is a smarter daily pattern. Spearmint tea may help support a less androgen-friendly environment. Soy foods may help support the postmenopausal hormonal landscape, while also improving protein intake and metabolic stability. Ground flaxseed may help support estrogen metabolism, gut health, satiety, blood sugar balance, and inflammatory control. 3 foods, 3 different strengths. 1 bigger message. Support the system, and the surface may begin to change. Now, will this happen overnight? No. Will every woman have the same response? No. Will food alone solve every case? Also no. But can the right dietary pattern help many women feel more balanced, more stable, and more in partnership with their body than they do now? Absolutely. And that is the goal. Not perfection, partnership. Because aging well is not about chasing the face you had at 35. It is about understanding the body you have now and giving it what it needs. That is where dignity lives. That is where confidence returns. That is where health becomes something more than appearance. I want you to remember something the next time you stand in front of the mirror. You are not weak because this bothers you. You are not vain because this affects your confidence. And you are certainly not powerless. What you are experiencing is real. Common, yes, but still real. And real things deserve real understanding. So if chin hair after 60 has been making you feel embarrassed, frustrated, confused, or defeated, let today be the day you stop seeing it as a random inconvenience and start seeing it as useful information. Information about hormones. Information about metabolism. Information about what your body may be asking for. And when you answer that message with better nutrition, better habits, better sleep, better movement, and better awareness, you are doing something far more powerful than plucking. You are rebuilding trust with your own body. That is the deeper work, and it is worth doing. So here is your simple starting plan. Begin with one daily anchor. Maybe it is a cup of spearmint tea in the morning. Maybe it is adding ground flaxseed to breakfast every day. Maybe it is replacing one low-protein, high-sugar meal with a proper meal that includes tofu or edamame and plenty of fiber. Don't try to become perfect by tonight. Just become consistent for next month. That is how change happens. Quietly, repeatedly, intelligently. And over time, those quiet choices often do much more than dramatic promises ever will. If this message helped you, write this word in the comments: balance. And if you want, also tell me which of these three you are going to start with first: spearmint tea, soy foods, or ground flaxseed. I always learn a lot from your comments, and they help me know what to cover next. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for trusting me with subjects that many people feel too embarrassed to talk about. On this channel, we talk about them openly, respectfully, and with purpose. Because your health deserves that. Your confidence deserves that. And your next chapter deserves that. Goodbye for now, my dear friends. This is Dr. William Chen. Take care, stay steady, and I will see you in the next video.